Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Digital Nomad World weekly series. I'm Becky, and once again, I'll be your host. And today we're going to be talking about why you shouldn't sleep on Bitcoin, whether you're a digital nomad or not, with my guest, Fernando Corella. Fernando, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Becky, and so excited to be here speaking to this amazing Nomad community.
It's great to have you here. I do want to ask you, did I say your last name right? Because I am in Portugal. I've been learning Portuguese, and I know you have a Spanish language last name.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Like many people can say Corella, like even in Costa Rica, so I'm like, it's not like an Italian. It's like, no, it's not Italian. Just say Corella. So Corella, Corella, depending on where you are, that works.
Okay, I just want to make sure I got it right. So, welcome, Fernando. First of all, I love to ask my guests when they first come on, can you tell us about your background and how you started your digital nomad journey?
Sure. And again, thank you for having me. I'm very honored to be here. And yeah, actually, right now I'm a mentor in personal finances and investing. Which is not what I studied at all. So I used to work in a call center back in the day because I started studying engineering. Then engineering was not my thing. I did that for 2 years. And then I was like, you know what? The educational system is not for me very much. So I'm just gonna move to business, do like a short career, 3, 4 years. Then I landed my first job while I was working in the call center. Then I transitioned to this corporate world into fintech, business, technology, processes, product management. So it was like a whole mix. And then I decided like, okay, I'm losing my money. I don't know what to do with my money. So I took a program. And then a couple of months later, I was like selling educational finances. And then it became like my main focus to the point in which like right now I'm focused educating people on personal finances, investment, crypto. So that's pretty much what I do right now on a day-to-day basis as well.
So I know you're not alone. Like a lot of digital nomads, they don't start in the same industry that they end up in, especially as you go along and you keep traveling. But it's interesting that, you yourself were concerned about your finances and then you found a course. And did you essentially start selling, were you selling the same course that you took because it worked so well for you?
Yeah, exactly. So as you said, normally people do not pay attention to what they're doing with their money. So I think the first paycheck you get in your life, you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna go and spend it in whatever, on a trip or clothes or a PlayStation, whatever it is, right? And I realized after like a year or so that I was like, where is all the money I've made in the past year? It's like my bank account savings is just like quite low. And then I was putting money into the bank because I didn't know where to invest or how to invest. And it was just giving me like a 3% annual return. I was like, I'm definitely losing money here. And at the same time, thinking about financial education, like paying $3,000 for a financial program was like, doesn't make any sense. That money I could invest it. However, I didn't know how to invest it. So it's like, you know what? Worst thing that can happen is like I don't learn anything and then I just lost 2,000. But best thing scenario is like I learned how to do it and then that's going to grow over time. So I took the program at the same time I started investing. And then a couple of months later, I was thinking, what can I do to start creating money on the side so I can invest more and more? And an opportunity came from the same people I took the program with. They were like, you know what? Like, it seems like this could work for you. Like, are you interested in sales? And I'm like, not really. Sales is my thing, but I mean, it's extra money. If I sell one program, it's like 15% commission. So sure. And that's how it started. And then with the same people I was working back then, 6 months later, they opened an opportunity about like, you pay like 5,000 and you're gonna learn, how to actually become a mentor in personal finances so you can serve their clients. And I was like, that sounds more like me than just sales. I continued doing both. At the same time, I was having my corporate job that allowed me to start this nomad journey. So it's just like having two jobs, playing with the time, and then see how can you move along.
Yeah, no, I also had two jobs at the beginning and was keeping a corporate job while building up kind of a little bit of a nest egg so that I would feel safe when I started my digital nomad journey. But I think, it's really great that what you were doing on the side was starting to eventually become what you could do as you kept traveling. And so I'm curious about the Bitcoin part of it because this is what our the main thing we want to tell people today. And I know people hear the word Bitcoin and they're like, a lot of people are just
Not for
completely,
me.
they shut down. Yeah. But I'm curious, how did you start along with Bitcoin or how did you get introduced to it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So when I was starting, let's say it's more like a hands-off approach. It's like you just go and put money every month in the S&P 500 that's going to grow in the next 10, 20 years. So you don't have to worry about that. It's like very easy investment strategy. But at the time, I don't know, one day I was just like scrolling on Instagram and then I landed on a live and it was about like two Colombians speaking about, they were launching their crypto program. And I was like, okay, like I've just heard about crypto, I heard about Bitcoin. It's like, no, that's not going to work. Like, honestly, my comment went for not knowing anything about it, not dedicating even 5 minutes to learn or read or whatever. And then I pay attention in that live, and it was like, it actually makes sense what they're saying. It's like, they're not just like saying this can grow to 1 million, but it's like, these are the reasons why it can go to 1 million. And it was like, the money that you use every day, euros, dollars, your local currency. Like, have you ever wondered how the money comes into the market? It's like, right, it makes sense. Like, somehow unlimited supply, it's monetary policy based on government, and they can do whatever they want. And then they said like this thing about like something that is scarce and people adopt it can actually be something very valuable. And this thing called Bitcoin is like a 20 million circulating supply in the future, maximum. And that means the more people invest in it, the more relevant it becomes, the more adoption it has, its value is just going to grow. It's like no way it's going to go down to where it started. Of course, like the market goes in cycles, it's going to go up and down, but in the long term, it's just something that's going to beat inflation no matter what. And I was like, okay, I can just put like, let's say 20,000 today. That was like 2021, 2022. Leave it there. And then eventually I'm just going to have 1 million. So when you have this idea of, I just want to be a millionaire. And if I get one Bitcoin, that goes to 1 million in 20 years. That's it. That's all I had to do. That's how it started. Of course, the strategy changes over time. The more you study the market, the more you understand. But it's definitely something that is changing the financial system, is changing people's life. And nowadays, banks, governments, institutions are putting their eyes, and more than putting their eyes, they're putting their money on it. So it's an
I think
opportunity for you to not sleep on it.
I love that you found Bitcoin the same way you found the financial program, just, scrolling around and then you tried it out. And I think a lot of people won't do the trying part. And there's a lot of things that have happened with Bitcoin. Like you said, the more you study the market, the more you know. But there's a lot going on that I think people don't realize with how much Bitcoin is being adopted by big banks and countries and governments these days. I'm going to put you on the spot. Are you aware of some of the recent things that have happened?
I mean, there are many things happening nowadays, like even just like 2025. Let's just talk about 2025 is first thing, the US government planning to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Like what's that? Having conversations about going to the forts and actually check if there is the gold that they are supposed to have. And if there are, like just selling some of that gold so they can buy Bitcoin. I mean, where do you hear that? Like, was that something that was foreseen like 5 years ago? It's like definitely not, right? The largest asset manager in the world, BlackRock, and many people do not know this. Like, they go and buy a stock of Microsoft, a stock of Apple, many like big tech companies. But when you look at who are the main holders of these companies, it is BlackRock, and BlackRock pretty much like manages or owns the main companies in the world. So when you look at these big asset managers putting money on this, enabling their customers to have access to this, you just know that's something that's it's gonna grow. It has opportunity. Now countries like El Salvador as well, it's many Bitcoin driven, many companies as well, like Meta in the recent days, like exploring the possibility to integrate crypto payments to their platforms. Like, it's just many things going around and things like it was one that was interesting because people have this idea of, okay, like I invest in crypto, but then how can I use that crypto in the day-to-day life? And then that as well, like recent news about MasterCard and Visa enabling their customers to use their credit debit cards to spend their stablecoin. So it's just a thing in which like the world we know versus how crypto is evolving, they're just coming together. And that's just like it's gonna hit you. You want it or not, you like it or not, you will have to adapt to it as well.
Yeah, I've been trying to tell some of my friends, and even some friends that I know held a little bit of Bitcoin, if, like in the last cycle, let's say 3 years ago. I spoke to them recently and they said, I made a little bit of money, but I have sold all of my Bitcoin and I'm holding cash. And, for whatever reason they did that, but I was a bit disappointed because they're going to miss out on what would have happened if they held the Bitcoin. And some people say, well, why should you hold an asset that you feel like is so scarce you don't want to spend it? But I think the idea is, of course, we want to spend it, but we want to hold it as long as we can and then sell it later to have much more value than your dollar is going to have, or your euro, whatever you're holding.
Exactly, 100%. And everyone who has studied Bitcoin, knows there's a story about a guy who got Bitcoins for the pizza he was delivering, right? And it was like
Yeah.
the two most expensive pizzas on earth in history. And that you can ask that guy today, like, oh, if only I could have kept like 10 of those, and it's just like something that really you attention is either you like it or not. It's like give yourself the opportunity to. There is this book that pretty much like explains in a very nice way. It's like, of course, about like the economy, the history of the economy, how the world was before the gold standard, how the fiat system works nowadays, introduction to Bitcoin, and it's called the Bitcoin Standard. And I think that's a very good book for you to read. Just give it a try, read it. If it resonates with you, it's just gonna put some different facts, and based on those facts, you can make your decision. If this is for you, nice, give it a try. Responsibly allocate a percentage of your cash on it. If not, that's fine. At least you understand and you have your reasons why not to do it. But I think it's just something that's evolving and evolving. And it's just like as well, the whole crypto industry as well is evolving and now having different partnerships with companies that we know that had nothing to do with crypto, right? So
Yeah, it's now a very friendly environment for crypto. And it wasn't, and I have to say his name, it wasn't so much before Trump was elected the second time.
yeah,
We had in the US a very crypto unfriendly SEC chairman, Gary
yeah.
Gensler, who announced that he was leaving when Trump was reelected, but before, so he left when Trump took office. And now we have someone who's very pro crypto. So you have, still the most powerful country in the world that is going very pro crypto. It's, I think, the best time for people like us to try to get a little bit of, especially Bitcoin. We could talk for hours about many other assets that are in this industry, but I think there may come a time, and I'm curious about your opinion on this. There may come a time when we are not allowed to, or somehow they're going to block us from buying Bitcoin itself, or the government might try. Do you
Yeah.
think that might happen? Do you think the window might close for, like, let's say, regular investors and not accredited investors?
It's a very good question. And my answer would be like, I don't know. And I hope not, because at the end, the reason Bitcoin came to life was pretty much like to for us to be able to own our own money. Because like, especially in Europe, you go in Europe and you have your account and you're gonna send like 3,000 euro. And the bank might ask you like, why are you sending that money? And then just block the transaction. Like it's your money. You have the right to do whatever you want. And even, they can be like, oh, that can be money laundering. It's like, okay, but you have all the transactions in my bank account. So how can you say this is money laundering if you say this is my paycheck month to month? Um, so I think for me, it's just like I like the posture of the US government right now. Of course, that could be just like nice words to create an illusion on people in which like we're not gonna, you know, mess with your money. What you own, you own. I like the idea about like cutting income tax and all these other things because as well like you aren't earning that money, so it's nice that you get like the full amount or whatever. So on the Bitcoin aspect, I think it's important for Bitcoin to continue being what it was. It was just like initially like a cash to cash, like a peer-to-peer cash system, and it evolved to now being this idea of a store of value where, can have better attributes than gold on that aspect. And the gold, as you said, was taken from the people's hands back in the day. So now I don't expect like Bitcoin to become the same thing, right? So I think it's just going to be a matter of how the supply shock is going to happen, how much money will governments and institutions put into this. And in the end, the question will not be hopefully governments are going to take this away from you. It's just going to be like how much more left it's going to be left for you.
Yeah, how big of the pie are you going to be able to have for yourself? And of
Exactly.
course, if there's a lack of supply, the price should go up, and you'll have less of it. So it's a question. And I brought digital nomads into this conversation because I'm thinking, of course, like if you have something that's going to keep continue to go up in value, it's going to help you be able to have location freedom and even not have to have so many scheduled calls and different jobs that you're doing if you don't want to. Have you seen that for yourself as you've invested in Bitcoin more?
Yeah, for sure. Like
More freedom.
since since 4 or 5 years ago, my main goal has been to achieve financial freedom before I'm 30. So that's been my main goal. Like I
Goal.
stick to it
Yes.
a little bit. I'm 29, so just 1 year left.
Yeah. You think you're going to do it?
I hope so, yeah. I think
Okay.
like if market conditions are positive this year, then that can be like very achievable. But on that line, like, initially when I first thought about that, it was like, okay, maybe when I'm 45. So it was like a 20-year time frame. Then it was like, okay, how likely is it that someone can achieve like 1 million by their 35? Okay, it's possible, but then you have to have more money so you can invest more in stocks or funds or whatever it is. And then you discover this idea of Bitcoin, which is like the earlier you jump into the market, of course, understanding how it works and having a strategy, like you can get like 100, 200, 200, 400% returns in a specific moments of the market. And that's part of well where when you have to be more allocated into Bitcoin, when you have to rotate your capital into other coins, and when you have to be out of the market. So it doesn't have to be something like trading where you have to be making moves every day. It's just like during this year, what moments should I be paying attention to this? What moments should I be doing this other thing? And once you understand that, you understand like those 300, 400, 500% returns are possible because as well, 7% of the world's population right now is invested in crypto. When you
Okay.
compare this to the internet in the 97, 98, nobody believed in that. But right now, 76% of the world or more use the internet every day, have access to internet. And I think crypto is just going to be the same. So the earlier you jump into something that has like big adoption potential, the more you can get bigger gains in the beginning. Because like now that you can get like in the past 1,000% returns in Bitcoin, that's just going to be decreasing every cycle. And then eventually Bitcoin is going to get into a stable asset in which you can get like your normal 20 to 30% return a year in average. So definitely an opportunity, definitely something that you consider for your portfolio. And the earlier you do it, it's going to be a way to jump from the goal that you have. And I see this with my clients. So as we're speaking in 2025, I see you have an opportunity in the next 10 months for you to double or triple your capital. Then you can see if this is for you or not. How do you feel about volatility? I say it's high volatility, but the risk you can manage and have like a low risk profile. If you feel comfortable, just give it a try this 10 months. If there is a recession, economical crash, whatever it is, 2026 or 2027, you at least know how to move. Now you go and allocate that capital there, and then by 2029, I bet that capital can grow again like three, four, five times with no risk associated to it. Not financial advice, but first test it, give it a try, then allocate in the moments you have to allocate. And of course, it's going to give you returns that with other investments, it's just going to take 10, 15, 20 years to get the same result you can get in 5 years.
So I do want to tell my friends who are all back in a certain like either the S&P 500 or they're in all cash. It's like, well, the dollar, how do you know it's going to hold its value? I used to live in Japan. I used to earn yen, and a couple of years ago, the yen lost significant value, and it's still pretty weak compared to that. So I've seen it happen. I've seen many countries and their currencies fail in front of our eyes. So it's, how do you feel safe with your currency? But Bitcoin is essentially a global currency. So it feels like the world is invested, and therefore it has the potential to become more stable over time. But people still think it's a scam or a cult in a lot of ways
Yeah,
right
or I don't see the use case. So, there are all these different ideas, but again, like follow this smart money.
Yes, especially now, like we said, the smart money has gotten in, I would say, in the last 3 years more than before. Of course, you could say the smartest money was in first, but that was still in those very early adopter days. But I really do think this is like the internet. That was a great comparison you made. It's the financial internet and the rails of digital money and transactions are being built as we speak. And I also think it's the more you learn about this industry now, the greater chance you have to work in it if you would like
Yeah.
and find a lot of job opportunities because it's still a very new industry. Like you said, 7% of people have crypto. So if you know and you've
Well,
got this like several years of education with it, you're more likely to be hired, of course.
yeah, and if you do, like know that this ecosystem moves a lot of money as well. So you are more likely to get a higher salary. And as we're speaking, like you mentioned, many people are speculative. They don't believe this is going to go anywhere. So again, just look at history and you can see Donald Trump, you can see Michael Saylor, you can see Larry Fink, like people who are right now like heavily invested in this ecosystem 5 years ago, 7 years ago, what were they saying about crypto and Bitcoin? They were also saying it was going to crash. It had no future. So give yourself the opportunity to reevaluate based on data. And then you make your decisions. Because like as well, you can see facts in which like MicroStrategy, now known as Strategy by Michael Saylor, in 2020, they implemented this strategy in which like Bitcoin was like one of the main drivers to make the company grow. 2024, the strategy has outperformed all of the magnificent seven companies in the S&P 500. And not just by 100%, it's just like being huge difference, more than 1,000%. So that tells you something.
Yeah, and I know the stock split 10 for 1 last year, and probably they will do it again to keep buying more Bitcoin. So I think this is something we're at a point in history where, yes, there was a lot of speculation before, but many people have jumped onto the bandwagon now and they're adopting companies. I think Brown University just a few days ago claimed they were the first university in the US to put Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Although, if you look deeper into it, it's been happening for a few years with some of the big institutions. But now, like we said, we're in a friendlier environment, so you're allowed to talk about it a bit more. So this is not just for, the smart money or the rich people. This is still
Yeah.
possible for everyone if you get onto an exchange like Coinbase or Binance. I think would you say that's the first step for people if they want to figure this out is just sign up for one of those exchanges and purchase their first Bitcoin because I think
Yeah.
that's really powerful to do on your education journey.
Yeah. First thing is like understand what you're doing. then go open your accounts. You don't feel very comfortable right now, put like 100, couple of dollars, 1,000, let it grow, see how you feel. And then once you educate yourself on the topic and you feel more comfortable, ride the whole cycle until 2029. And then that's going to give you, I say it this way, is, to me, it's like this industry is a life-changing opportunity. Not for you to be a millionaire, not for you to, not like everyone has their own goals, but to have financial freedom, whatever is the amount that you need to live every month, you can just get it. If you have the commitment to restrict yourself a little bit for the next 5 years, 10 years maximum, you're going to have a completely different life. And it's
Yeah.
decided that, oh, just like now as we're nomads, like we travel to different places, it's easy to discover the beauties of this world. But somehow at the same time, when you travel into different places, when you get to those places, you are like, okay, but Monday to Friday, maybe I have to work until 11 p.m. because of my time zone and my company and all those different things. But I think about like the lifestyle that you have now without having this constraint that it is having a work schedule that is working for a company, but just having that time for you to do the things that you like and enjoy, and not just for, your years after retirement. Just do it now that you're young. What's better than having 45, 50 years of life of just doing things that you're passionate about?
Yeah, I'm curious, what do you plan to do when you retire at the age of 30, Fernando? Do you have
Ooh.
a big vision for this time, this free time?
Now you got me on the spot, but I'm right now in Sardinia in Italy, and I can tell like this is a place I feel like I could live here and retire here. It's just like very easygoing, you just work hard, go for a walk by the beach, beautiful beaches, then sit, take the sun, sit by the pool, so the whole day can go like that. And at the same time you can explore. And I don't think I will like 100% retire, to be honest. Like even next year, if I get to, no, not if I get to, next year when I get to have that financial freedom, I think for me it will be the same. I will still continue doing it at least for 4 or 5 years because I think
Yeah.
it's just like also good to give people, uh, you know, give back to the community, give people the opportunity based on the knowledge and things you have accomplished, and show like there is a different path for you to live your best life. And that's why, like, for example, the program that I've created isn't just like teaching people about how to manage their money, how to invest in crypto and funds, whatever, but also like what is actually what you really want in your life, in your physical and like your health and physical life, your intellectual life, emotional life, partnerships, relationships, career, quality of life, like every area of your life. Once you know what you want, you're gonna have like a big purpose to go after those things. Otherwise, it's just you making money just to make money, and then eventually you're just gonna spend it. So
Yeah, I think the first step is really just getting people to that point of freedom, whether it's time freedom or location freedom. And that was part of what we all wanted as digital nomads. But as some nomads find out, like you said, you don't have the time freedom that you think you're going to have when you can
yeah,
go anywhere. So if there's a way where you can build and get that as well, then you really can always feel like you're never working because you're giving back or you're doing what it is that you really enjoy.
exactly. It's just like what you like to do in your days. Think about
Yeah.
that. It's like think of it this way. It's like what you wait the weekend to do your activities, what you're passionate about. Imagine doing that like 24/7 for years. There is
Yes.
no pressure, there is no commitment. You just do it because you love it.
Yeah, and what a dream to think that we have another chance to find something early and try to learn about it and try to invest. And if you, like Fernando had mentioned, he had a job on the side. If you're working now, maybe you can try to think of a way to get a little bit more money. Maybe you've got to hustle for a year or two to save and put some money aside to invest in your first. Maybe it's your first investment, and it might not be Bitcoin. It might be something just in the S&P 500 or a stock, but make that extra money to start saving so that you can work towards a freedom because I know it's getting harder for everybody with the cost of living and everything. and scarce resources. So we have to think even smarter now.
There are many opportunities out there. And as you're saying, Becky, is like you don't have to jump into the deep waters of something you don't know. Like just go step by step, like buy some ATF, start investing regularly. The moment you feel more confident, try something different, you know. So it's like some risk management, but at the same time, like the more you do this, like you can guarantee yourself, like worst case scenario, 20 years, you will have an exit of what you thought it's normal. So having an 8 to 5, I would say it's not normal. Um, having to work Monday to Friday is not normal. Having to enjoy your life until, after you are 66, 65, 62, depending on your country, it's not normal because at the end of the day, like you are right now dedicating more than 65% of your time a year just to your job, not even considering when you have to drive to get to the office, the way back, time that you're resting. Like, just think about that. Like, if that's the kind of life you want, that's good. But that's what they told you is what you had to do. But it's not normal. You didn't come to this life just to be in this production chain environment, whatever it is. You can redefine that. And this is a way out.
Thank you. That was really beautifully said. Well, Fernando,
Well,
thank you so much for coming. And I'm wondering if people want to learn more about your financial advice or follow your travels, where can they go?
you can find me at kryptomite.co. That it's KRYPTOMITE.co. Or you can just go to my social media on Instagram. It will be Fernando Corella at Corella underscore F. That'll be Corella underscore F. And yeah, we'll be posting different content, showing all the journey that we have on a day-to-day basis. And hopefully that's going to serve as inspiration for you. And if there is something I can help you with as well, like do not hesitate, send a DM and I'll be happy to have a chat as well.
Thank you very much, Fernando. It was very nice to speak with you today. I hope our conversation has inspired somebody to look into investing and starting to change their life. And I hope you have a great day, Fernando.
Thank you very much, Becky. And again, thank you for having me. So nice to have this chat and everyone as well. Have a wonderful life and enjoy your travels. That's great that you as well doing these things and enjoying every second of it.